Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Dayton. This is my second book, Socialism, the Gift That Keeps On Taking. And you can check out my website at pauldayton.us. Today, we're going to talk about one of the three main themes of this book, which is the business of the beast, or the government, the state, whatever you want to call it, uh, clenching or unclenching its fist around the windpipe of the people, and the economy tightening through taxation and regulation, relaxing through permission of freedom and liberty, through just a framework of well defined and enforced boundaries, but more or less leaving people to be free to make their own way. Not surprisingly, the tightening of the fist leads to a less healthy outcome, and relaxation leads to a more healthy outcome. Today, we're going to learn about a few specific examples of the loosening of the grip. And this section is called Loose Grip. Begin with a quote. Let the motto of free people be, the person is inviolable, property is sacred. That's from a German in the mid-19th century, during an episode they had, which involved a lot of tyranny, similar to the French episode half a century before, which is covered, each of which episodes are covered in this book separately. I begin. The relaxation of the grip of the beast around the windpipe of a nation delivers a higher quality of life for the population as a whole. More food, more goods, more jobs, more social mobility, more of everything pertinent to the alleviation of hopeless poverty for the masses. The most efficient exchange occurs between two parties, each spending his own money in an attempt to benefit himself. Any discrepancies between the bargain struck with his money and with his desires will be most readily identified and remediated. This exchange is preeminent in an environment free of cumbersome regulation on the part of government. The least efficient exchange occurs between two parties, the first party spending the money of a second party in an attempt to benefit some distant third party whom neither person knows. This type of exchange takes place in tightly regulated, redistributed, centrally planned environments. During the period in which more bounty was delivered, and more people of common birth were uplifted to lives of comfort or even opulence, the loose hand of the beast is ever present. Visiting the USA in 1831 and 1832, Tocqueville noticed the strong state governments along with the weak federal government. Quote, we observe two completely separate and almost independent governments, one which answers the daily needs of society without clear limitations, the other which acts in exceptional circumstances to meet certain general concerns and with very clear limitations. End quote. America's third president, Tom Jefferson, in a writing published 1821, quote, but it is not by the consolidation or concentration of powers, but by their distribution that good government is effected. Were not this country already divided into states, that division must be made, that each might do for itself what concerns itself directly, and what it can do so much better than a distant authority. He adds, were we directed from Washington when to sow and when to reap, we should soon want bread. It is by this partition of cares, descending in gradation from general to particular, that the mass of human affairs may be best managed for the good and prosperity of all. Jefferson, of course, with that business of asking for bread, of course, is making a derisive reference to the episode in France in 1789, which is covered very well in this book. I continue. Cemented by the horrific New Deal period in the USA, each decade thereafter, more and more people do in fact turn to Washington with expectations of bread. Jefferson's warning proved prophetic, as the two most cancerous legacies of the great failure of socialism are, one, the intentional creation of federally dependent special interest groups, and second, the conversion of the Treasury into a perpetual campaign fund for politicians. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here and tell you this. Advocates of the loose grip approach can point out that the diffusion of power protects the masses should one who desires tyranny get their hands on the levers of government, as is illustrated by the Chinese experience of the 10th century AD. During the Five Dynasties period, The existence of several Chinese states lessened the degree of terror wielded by the rulers compared to that uh, wielded by rulers of dynasties that succeeded in unifying China. This terror pertained to ethnic minorities. It was thus not the Chinese elite, but independent minded merchants who spread Chinese culture in that direction when they established trading colonies in the littoral region from the South China coast into Southeast Asia and the South Seas. Elsewhere, the relaxation of regulatory grip facilitated much trade in later medieval Europe. Bazaars or fairs brought luxurious and rare items to the masses, while simultaneously providing the opportunity for wholesale transactions between merchants and traders. The prohibition on lending at interest was ignored at the fairs, as were any outstanding criminal matters in which attendees may have been entangled. These bazaars, like merchant owned and ruled towns which originated during this period, were self governed by the merchants. Commerce was benefited by their existence. Fairs ran from Italy to Belgium and occurred year round. Some would attend fairs merely to engage in fiscal commerce, either borrowing anew or repaying prior loans. During the 13th century, the financial and credit system had germinated and grown to the level of having established a crude clearinghouse amongst themselves. Wars on the lands, combined with the improvement in money trading which eliminated the necessity for in-person exchanges between merchants, brought the demise of these bazaars. I'll end our reading there. Those are just a few examples of concrete instances throughout history, a few of many throughout this book. This big guy here. This is a great place to learn about everything that you've ever wanted to know. If you wanted to speak with intelligence or authority about popularly discussed matters, this is a great book for you. Socialism, the Gift That Keeps on Taking, and check out my website, pauldayton.us. Thank you.